Thank you. Now, I urge you to wear good masks when you're indoors with anybody, except people you live with, who don't mask each other, that's okay, as long as you're protecting yourselves together. I don't want any of you to become permanently harmed by COVID. There's a small chance, but not minuscule, that you'll get long COVID. You could have brain fog for the rest of your life, fatigue all the time for the rest of your life. And that would be a shame. I don't want that to happen to me, and I was taking precautions about that. But now you can see that I've gone through somewhat of a change.
Don't hear you.
Is the mic not working? Oh, I see. It has to be too close to me. Okay. I hope you will wear masks to protect yourselves from catching COVID, because there's a certain chance you'll get long COVID, you can have brain fog for the rest of your life, you can have fatigue all the time for the rest of your life. That was my original reason for protecting myself carefully from COVID. I don't want those things to happen to me because I want to do something. I want to be able and capable of doing things that I can contribute. And long COVID could make that impossible. It could do it to you too. That would be a shame too. But I have a worse problem now. I have cancer. It's a kind of lymphoma. Fortunately, it can be managed, and I'll probably be around for many more years. So it hasn't made a fundamental change in my life. I'm still working for free software and other causes I support separately, and still involved in carrying the GNU project forward. And so that's why I don't have much hair anymore, but other than that, I basically look the same. When you get to see me with the mask off, which I do outside, much safer there. So, there were some jokes I wanted to tell about this, but most of them are gone. But I do have this port. They put this port in here so they can stick needles in fast. But there's a problem. No ships are coming. No ships have docked at this port since I first had it put in. Now, I thought I would get some commerce from this port, and it would help me pay for these treatments I'm getting. But it turns out what they put in is a 1 lumen port. It's so dim that sea captains can't see that it's there. So I'm going to demand a 10,000 lumen, basically, lighthouse to guide ships to dock at my port. Anyway, so one of the issues that the free software world faces is the rather nasty Red Hat support contract. I don't see that there is a basis to sue Red Hat for does it violate the GNU general public license? I don't have a conclusive answer to that, but what's clear is that it's antisocial. Specifically, to tell people they'll be punished with, or could be punished, their their support contract might be canceled or might not be. Morally speaking, there's no difference between that and saying it will be canceled. It's just making the situation more veiled behind an irrelevancy. Effectively, they're threatening to cancel support contracts for users who do what they're supposed to be able to do, which is to redistribute the free software they're getting from Red Hat. And this Red Hat should stop. Now there's a separate aspect, which is to get support, customers have to pay based on how many users are getting the support, how many machines the support is for. That's a secondary issue. I don't think that that is particularly harmful. The crucial harmful thing is that they're trying to stop users from redistributing GNU software, other free software, since sharing redistribution is what it's for. So I hope that the community's influence will make Red Hat change that aspect of those contracts. We've been hearing a lot about artificial intelligence, and that term carries a terrible confusion, because in addition to, as I see it, the term intelligence means something's ability to know or understand some area. If something can't actually understand things, we shouldn't say it's intelligent, not even a little intelligent. But people are using the term artificial intelligence for bullshit generators. It's not, I don't understand what's happening. I'm holding it here. Does it sometimes work and sometimes not? What's happening? Oh, well, that's not usually a good thing to do, but okay. The thing is, I don't notice when it stops. It sounds the same to me. What? How long did people not actually hear me?
I think we hear you, but not as well as.
Oh.
So you don't have to repeat.
Okay. People agree I don't have to repeat? So, people were talking about systems like ChatGPT, which doesn't understand anything and doesn't know anything. That's why I call these systems bullshit generators. Because the only thing that they're good at is making smooth sounding output, any part of which could be bullshit. You can't believe it ever. Well, you're dumb if you do. So I don't want to call those artificial intelligence or anything with the word intelligence in it. Because calling them that, encourages people to think that what they're saying is not bullshit. It encourages people to believe, and that gives them the chance to do great harm. So I distinguish those two areas. There is real artificial intelligence. For instance, there are programs that can look at a photo of magnified photo of some cells and tell you with greater likelihood of being right than any human doctor whether it's cancerous. Or, for instance, there are artificial intelligence systems that can figure out what's going to attract people's attention very, very effectively. And these are used by anti-social media platforms. And sad to say, they work very well. They're very good at what they do. And what they do is getting users or users addicted. It's a plague on society. And this is an illustration of something that AI can do.
which we should not permit it to be used for. It should be illegal to run systems, whether they're artificial intelligence or not, however, whether there's machine learning or not, however, regardless of how they work, it should be illegal to operate systems to recommend to users things that are likely to make them get more engaged in the system in question, because that's addicting people, and we now know that the effects of that on society are terrible. They're disastrous. They include suicide. But we have to realize that if there are things we don't want programs to be used for, the way to achieve this is by making it illegal to use programs to do that. Software licenses are not the right way to prevent a program from being used harmfully. That's not what software licenses are effective for. They're not powerful enough to achieve that goal. And meanwhile, because they're chosen by private entities, it's undemocratic for the choices to be made by those private entities. It's legitimate for a democratic country to pass a law saying you can't run a platform designed to maximize users' engagement. But it's not legitimate for someone who wrote a program and published it to put on a license with that same condition. Because private entities shouldn't have this kind of power over other entities, over people. How long has this been? This is a real pain in the neck. Does this have a low battery? Because I've heard things like this happen when a microphone has a low battery. Is there another microphone?
No, because you're letting it.
What?
You're slowly dropping it as you.
Yeah, of course, but I don't generally find that mics need to be held this close to the mouth unless there's a weak battery. Is that what's happening? The point is, I'm going to forget it again and again. It's no use hoping I won't. That's not a solution. We can suffer having this happen over and over. I'll do my best. But you know what my best is. It's not going to be better after now than it's been the past few minutes. I'm sorry, but that is beyond me to change. Well, in any case, so the point is, people who are trying to solve the dangers of real artificial intelligence by software licenses that restrict what people can do with the program when they get it, they're barking up the wrong tree. It's an ineffective, unreliable solution, and it's also an injustice because it denies people the freedom that every program ought to give them. Now, this is not the first time we've seen people try to do this. There are various software licenses that people have published that restrict what a program can be used for, and they've always been wrong. There's a page in gnu.org/philosophy called Why Software Licenses Must Not Restrict the Freedom to Run. I think that's what it's called, but you can find it. The situation is unchanged. The real problems of AI, the harmful uses like deepfakes, they should be prohibited by law, and individuals should not make these laws. Democratic governments should. Now, in regard to bullshit generators, well, what should we do about that? If there are, clearly, if something can be done, it should be done by laws passed democratically and not software licenses. Well, what can actually be done? Well, one thing is perhaps a labeling requirement. Publishing any output made by a bullshit generator, even partly by a bullshit generator, should have to have a label saying, this was generated by a language model, don't believe anything it says is true. You're agreeing?
Microphone.
Oh, how else would people not hear this time?
Good, you tell you now immediately.
Okay, good. So the point is, that might help. And in general, not calling it artificial intelligence, not supporting the belief that they're anything but gobbledygook, expecting to find errors in whatever they said. This will help society become somewhat resistant to the harm that they can do. Now, one of the conundrums we face in our community is, how do we get young people interested in free software? Now, children sometimes can get interested in free software. I'm afraid that there is a problem that happens once the calamity of peer pressure sets in. Now, I was safe from peer pressure. I was completely out of popularity. I gave up on trying to be popular. I just said, it's a waste of time for me to do anything trying to be popular, so I won't bother. And so I was safe. And there's some others who are safe. Maybe we can find them and interest them in free software so that they can find a community of people that is not so superficially focused on imitating everybody before everybody else imitates each other. Maybe. But we can also look at the anti-social media platforms that exacerbate this effect. The platforms on which people are trying to compete with each other to do stupid things. And look at the other terrible effects that they have, which include causing psychological illnesses, suicide, lunacy, terrible suspicion of each other. Again, I don't have children, and I don't work with children, but I read about these things, and they sound pretty damn horrible. Maybe if we prohibit operating recommendation engines that are designed to encourage people to be more engaged in whatever platform it is, all these problems might become less. There is no reason in the world why these companies should be allowed to do whatever profits them the most, and designing their recommendation engines to suit their desires is not what we have understood freedom of expression to mean. It's not really expression of anything. It's freedom of manipulation, freedom of engineering people's brains to be ideal victims. Maybe that's something society needs to prohibit. Maybe the kinds of censorship that intrude in areas that are, in some sense, expression of views and ideas will not do the harm we're scared of if these platforms can't magnify their influence by making people addicted. I think it's worth a try. So, at this point, I guess it's time for me to ask questions. Do you have another question?
No, I got one microphone.
I'll stand there.
Okay.
Hello? 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 This microphone doesn't have the problem. That's okay.
Hello.
You can.
It works. Hello, hi Richard. This is my first time attending Free Software Foundation event, and I just want to know FSF.
Excuse me. Please speak
Slowly.
slowly.
Yes.
I have hearing problems.
Okay, of course.
Please just let me explain that. There's three things you need to do for me. One is to speak loud. Well, you're doing that. The next one is to speak slower. And the next thing is to pronounce each consonant carefully, the way I'm doing now. And that will help you stay slow. And that will make it possible to recognize the sounds you're saying. That's where my problem is. And there's no remedy I have. It's up to you.
Should I just stand up to make the sound propagate properly into the air?
You're doing that. That's not, it's just to pronounce them carefully. When you speak like this, I can't recognize the words. That doesn't work
Okay.
because of my limits.
Okay. As I could see, you have done a lot of work in free software movement, and I saw an organization, a non-profit organization earlier before FSF. They have a similar mission, which is to promote the anonymity in the internet. This organization is the, I wouldn't say competition organization, but it's like
What's the name of it?
MIT, and they have this Sloan Foundation supporting the Tor network. So I am just wondering how you would compare yourself. It's not that kind of compare, but just as analysis, a comparison between FSF and Tor network, Tor project. It's also a nonprofit powered by this Sloan. And I'm having a problem with MIT right now.
Is it an M or is it an N? Mike or November?
Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Oh.
So they have this Sloan Foundation supporting Tor project. And I wonder if you have enough knowledge about it, and what would you say about their organization?
Well, first of all, the Tor network is a good thing and I use it. I strongly defend the right to be anonymous on the internet, because if you're fooling yourself, if you think you have some sort of privacy, once your personal data has been collected, once a database of personal data has been collected, it will be misused. So the European Union's orientation towards, quote, data protection, unquote, is misguided. The GDPR of the European Union, which is supposed to protect privacy, it's a good attempt, but it is terribly flawed. It emphasizes more limiting how databases can be used than preventing them from being collected in the first place. Europe seems to be full of parking lots where
everyone who parks is required to enter her car's license plate number to get as a way of paying for parking. Well, that's tracking everyone. That's oppression. If the GDPR doesn't prohibit that, it's inadequate. So Tor is good because it enables you to connect to an internet site, and your ISP can't tell what site you're talking to, and the site you're talking to can't tell where you are. So I use it almost all the time. So I would say that what they're doing and what we are doing are complementary. There are a lot of things that need to be done to defend freedom in the world, and it's good that there are many organizations working on these different things. But you also need free software. If you're running a non-free program, it's very likely to be spying on you. And if it's running on your computer, well, even if you're talking with the world over the Tor network, the malware program on your computer can collect data about you and send it wherever it likes.
Thank you for your explanation.
And of course, I would also point out that this event is organized by GNU e.V., which is GNU's approach to building a better internet with privacy. That is a bit broader than Tor. You don't replace Tor, still use Tor, but there is also, of course, GNU as part of GNU to help with this. Now, of course.
Thank you very much. In my view, my perception, all these different crises which we are living through have something in common, and that's protection rackets. And so I feel if a movement for freedom like the free software movement can contribute something which is absolutely key, is to fight these protection rackets.
Well, yes.
So what do you think can be done in this movement to fight these protection rackets? Thank you very much.
Oh, free software is exactly
Close to the
that.
microphone, close to the
It's like free software is exactly an attempt to stop the software protection racket. It's software that doesn't try to be protected from your being able to use it, because you're free to use it. You can share it with others, redistribute it, and adapt to your needs. So it's not being artificially restricted to stop you from getting at it or doing with it what you want to do. So you might call it the quintessential rejection of these protection rackets. Of course, there are other areas of life where protection rackets are operating, and some of them need to be fought separately. I've also stated views about copyright, and you can find that in gnu.org/philosophy/copyright-vs-community.html. It's the transcript of a talk by that title. And after explaining the history of copyright and how it changed from protecting and defending authors against publishers into a way for publishers to restrict readers and therefore became unjust, I recommend some changes. First, I divide works into works that you use in a practical way versus works of opinion, art, and so on. If the work is used to do something practical, it should be free. People should be free to redistribute copies, modify it. So if you've got a recipe, you should be free to change the recipe and publish your version, and of course share the recipe with others. If it's a program, you should be free to publish your modified version and share the program with others. Likewise, for anything else that whose purpose is that it helps people do a practical job. But if it's art, opinion, anything like that, that argument doesn't apply. Those are not practical jobs. There are other kinds of value. They are of value to society, but not practical value. So I think it's okay to have a copyright system, but it shouldn't last too long. I suggested no more than 10 years after the work is published. And even during that time, people should be free to non-commercially redistribute exact copies. So copyright should not get in the way of sharing. And when I use the word sharing, it means non-commercial redistribution of exact copies. Free software permits a lot more than sharing. You can even commercially publish a modified version of a free program. But that's because software is a work that is meant to do practical jobs for people. Anyway, that's how I attack that particular protection racket. And you'll notice that the copyright war is shooting up again. There are people who don't like ChatGPT. I have my own reasons for not liking it. It's a bullshit generator. They have their authors who seem to think that there's something wrong if a program analyzes their works and figures out their styles and can write in a similar style. But this is something that human beings have done for ages. And this was never considered copyright infringement before. But they want it to be taken as copyright infringement, and they're trying to use their personal prestige to distort the law. And of course, they're using all the propaganda words like theft, all the usual propaganda words that are used whenever somebody is trying to make copyright more restrictive than it used to be. So we better be ready to fight them. I don't think it is wrong for a program to analyze the style of a work, even though that requires looking through the text of the work. People have done that for ages. It was considered lawful. It should be lawful now. And it should be lawful when programs do it, just as it's lawful when humans do it. So we better get organized now before they make it a crime to analyze the style of a work. And if you wanted to go into the field of literary criticism, tough on you, it's going to be considered copyright infringement.
Hello, about the left-hand situation with your
I'm having trouble hearing you right now.
Okay.
Speak more clearly.
Okay, about the red hat situation you called earlier. Do you think it's time for a musical license or
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that last part. Do I think it's time for the what license?
for a new CPL license to protect our movement or something?
I don't think that would help. And the reason is we have so much software that's already published under various free licenses, and changing the license of those programs would be very difficult to do in practice. And then Red Hat might just use the old versions which are under the existing licenses. So that doesn't look like it is a solution.
Yes, I have the following question. We have the proprietorship problem in software manufacturing and licensing. Then we have a huge sector of GMO proprietorship and licensing. Do you see any parallels and which ones?
Well, I see some parallel. There's some similarity. But biology and software are very different fields. A lot of people have been quick to jump to the conclusion that biology is like programming. I think that they don't know what they're talking about. And GMOs raise different kinds of issues also. And they're typically monopolized by patents. They're not copyrightable at all. Copyright law and patent law are different on every point. They have almost nothing in common. If you generalize about patent law and copyright law, you're already wrong. You're already going down the wrong tree. So don't try to generalize them. Look at each one as what it is. And don't ever try to assume that you should see them as a single thing. That kind of generalization is a mistake. What you'll find is that there are various strange, outrageous things that happen with patented genes in organisms. For instance, if pollen drifts onto another farmer's field, and as a result, that farmer's crop has the patented gene in it, in the U.S., I think that farmer is just liable for patent infringement. Now, in Canada, I think there was an outcome different from that, which was that the liability of that farmer for patent infringement was blamed on whoever the pollen blew from. That's a little more just, I suppose. But there shouldn't be patents on organisms for growing food because we've got to make sure farmers are free to grow the things they want to grow and to breed the things they're growing. That is a freedom that farmers have had for thousands of years, and it should not be taken away. Taking it away gives big companies more power over farmers. And the general thing that's wrong with our society is that big companies have too much power over everybody. So we shouldn't get to that.
A question. Given most of people are doing their computing nowadays.
I don't hear you, I'm sorry. Can you speak more clearly?
Yes. Given most of people are doing their computing nowadays using smartphones, should we shift more our focus as GNU towards smartphones instead of working on a Unix-like operating system? Or what is your vision on that?
That's easier. What you suggested could be a very good thing to do if it were possible. But it sounds easy, but in practice it's almost impossible. But those devices are designed so we can't replace their operating systems. So we don't really have the option of doing that. And then what makes them interesting to their users is that they have thousands of apps which are all non-free, essentially. With Android, there are a few exceptions. There are some free apps that can be run on Android. And they do some generally useful things. But there's still the thousands of apps released for various organizations to talk to them. And there's no way we can replace them with free apps to talk to those organizations. So basically, there's no way to liberate the world of these non-free apps. We had somewhat of an idea for that. it didn't work on apps, it worked on websites. And the idea was to enable the community to develop replacement JavaScript code that would be free, that would enable you to talk to a website, and a website that normally requires you to run non-free JavaScript code. But with the help of this community platform, we would have ways to talk to many sites replacing the non-free JavaScript, and this could liberate some of the jobs that people, well, in this case they'd be doing them with websites, but they're the same jobs that people might do on their snoop phones with apps. Well, it got started, but one of the two main people disappeared, and the one remaining one couldn't make a go of it alone. But if anyone's interested in this, get in touch with me. You know, if you've got enough drive to do this, maybe you can pick it up again.
So if you think we cannot fight this battle, what should our strategy be?
Well, I don't understand the question. My attitude towards snoop phones is, they're malicious devices, so I won't use it. I don't have one. If you want to be free, you need to do that. It's either that or give up. Now, we might wish that we could somehow liberate the world of snoop phones. But I think it's, what should our strategy be? I think it's the wrong question. There's an assumption in that question that our reaction should be, or response should be, a strategy. But you'll notice my response is not a strategy. It's simply saying no to something that would mistreat me. And that question has an answer, you see. The strategy question, I don't see how we can find an answer. There are giant companies making sure that we can't unlock the nasty products that they make.
Here's me with a little story.
I can't understand you, I'm sorry.
Question in the form of story. So sometimes I do a drawing. It can be a technical drawing or an artistic one, and I like to share the drawing, preferably under some free terms, because I want others to be able to adjust this drawing to their likings and share it further. The problem that I face that sometimes I draw a tool or a part in a free CAD, and then someone else uses something like SolidWorks or Autodesk, and it does share the work, but I cannot do anything with it without signing a contract with Autodesk or SolidWorks company, and so others can't. And sometimes I draw some nice picture in Krita, and then someone else takes this picture and adjusts this using Adobe Photoshop and shares that, and now you have to either pay Adobe tax, or you cannot use that.
Start? I think I get the point, and it's a significant point. But because I've never done anything with any of those programs, I need to ask you a question so I can understand it properly. So, do these programs, these non-free programs you're talking about, do they offer any kind of export into a format that is documented that free programs can implement?
Some of them do, but it's very non-functional. For example, in Adobe Photoshop, you cannot meaningfully export layer information, but it does understand Krita and GIMP format, but it doesn't let you save it back.
it does understand something or other I couldn't make sense of.
Yeah, it can import layer information from free software, but it refuses to export it back. And I believe that was done intentionally because there was nothing preventing Adobe from implementing that. And yeah, the thing is, I don't like that, and I propose we issue something like new document license. So
Well,
will be just
actually,
forbidden.
it's easier. It's easy to say, well, what that license should actually require is a very difficult question. I don't see a simple answer. Now, maybe there is an okay answer that I don't see. But I wonder this. You explained that Photoshop can't output a drawing with layer information in a format for free software. But I wonder, can you selectively output one layer at a time?
You can output layer by layer, but there's also sometimes layer metadata, like for example, relationship between layers, because a layer can be not just a drawing, but a filter. For example, you use one layer as a picture, and another black and white layer as a lighting adjustment. Adobe cannot export that in a way that you can easily use it. So it will be a long hassle.
An idea occurs to me. I don't know if this will work. I've never used that program at all, or any other for that job. But maybe with a little bit of continuation of this kind of approach, you could manage to output these various kinds of information separately in such a way that another free program could read them all in and put them together. It might be some work, but it might be doable. It might be a way of solving this problem technically.
Then Adobe will make something else to make.
Yeah, I know, but the point is that's not a totally effective thing. If something like this works, Adobe's power will be somewhat reduced. And sure, Adobe will do another nasty thing, but you're being perhaps too perfectionist. If we can't solve the whole problem for good and all forever, that doesn't mean it's useless.
Okay. Well, thank you, Richard. He will be around, but a bit difficult.
Actually, now it's time for
right, auction. Sorry.
Where is my red bag?
You can get your money out. This one?
Yes.
Okay, we are having a special glue auction, right?
Stop, get away. I can't walk around. Now, this is fun. So, this is an adorable GNU that needs a home. So I'm going to auction it. I'm going to auction it for to be divided between the Free Software Foundation and the GNU-Net Foundation. The Free Software Foundation, of course, sponsors the GNU project, and the GNU-Net Foundation sponsors this event and various others. So, if you buy this GNU in the auction, I can sign it for you. And I'm going to, there are very few of these GNUs left. We're no longer making more because the company stopped making more. And so I'm going to start by asking for at least a starting price of $100 or francs or euros, whichever.
100 pounds.
What?
British pounds.
It's also
that's hard.
It's 1-to-1, right?
No, pounds are actually worth somewhat more. It would be a complicated thing. Let's have the bidding in dollars, francs, euros, because that way it'll simplify things. When you bid, please wave your arm and shout the amount you're bidding as loud as you can, because you want me to hear you, right?
150.
150. Okay, I've got $150, pounds, euros. Do I get 175?
Why not Bitcoin?
I don't hear what that person said. It wasn't loud enough.
They wanted a Bitcoin.
No, well, you know,
Freedom. It's about freedom, right? Isn't it?
no, we don't have to accept Bitcoin. And basically, this dividing it up, I can't do that with Bitcoin. I'm afraid that that's just not feasible. Do I get 175 for this adorable canoe?
175.
Are you saying 175 over there? Okay, you need to shout louder, but I think I heard. Okay, so you're bidding 175. Okay, do I get 200 for this adorable canoe that needs a hull?
200.
What?
200.
I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
200.
200. Okay, you're bidding 200. I got 200. Do I get 225 for this adorable canoe? 225 to the Free Software Foundation and the GNU+Net Foundation. Sorry, what? 225, okay. Do I get 250? Do I get 250 for this adorable?
Yes.
How much?
Yes.
Are you bidding?
250.
I'm sorry, I don't hear you. Are you bidding?
Yes, I am.
How much do you bid?
250 money units.
Okay, I've got 250. No, you really have to say the amount or I don't know. I've got 250. Do I get 275 for this adorable canoe? 275 or more to the Free Software Foundation and the GNU+Net Foundation?
300 monetary units.
Okay, I've got $300, euros or francs. Do I get 350? How much you bid?
350.
I've got 350. Do I get 400? Do I get 400 for this adorable canoe? Which I will sign if you wish.
Okay, 400 then.
I've got 400. Do I get 450 for this adorable canoe? 450 to the Free Software Foundation and GNU+Net Foundation. Last chance to bid 450 or more for this adorable canoe. Last chance. How much?
Do you accept credit cards?
I can't hear you.
Do you accept credit cards?
That may be complicated. Zoe, is that feasible here?
Yeah, you get it.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Okay, 500.
I've got 500. Okay, 500 for this adorable canoe. Do I get 550? Last chance to bid 550 or more for this adorable canoe.
Okay, 550 then.
Okay, I've got 550. Do I get 600? This may be a record, although I don't remember.
It's 40.
What?
It's 40, that's why.
I'm sorry, I don't hear those
It's
words.
because of GNU 40.
Oh. Anyway, so I've got 550. Do I get 600? Last chance to bid 600 or more. Going.
Okay, 600.
Okay, I got 600. Do I get 650? Last chance to bid 650 or more for this adorable canoe. Do I get 650? 650 or more? going. You said something. What did you say? 650? Are you bidding 650? Okay, I've got 650. Now do I get 700 for this adorable bill? Do I get 700 for this adorable bill? Last chance to get 700 or more. Going, gone for 650. And after this comes the book. I can't do it all. Okay, yeah, I don't sign it right away. I always say I'll sign it after we're done with the event. But I didn't want to pay. I'm afraid I don't understand what you're telling me. There's too much background information that I don't get. You want to put part on part and part. Okay, that's okay. Okay, I was hoping to get something with French, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so that's good. Well, the working out was over. Yeah, I always tell people, I'll sign it for you later, right now let's move on with the event. So this is an adorable book. My book of essays, 3rd edition, Free Software, Free Society, which means where will be love. And I'll sign it for you if you like. So I'm going to start. These are, we can print more of these, it's not impossible. So, I'll start with 50 monetary units.
50.
What?
50.
Who's bidding?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I've got 50 units for this. Dollars, francs, or euros. Do I get 75?
75.
Who's bidding? I need to see your hand. If I don't know who's bidding, I can't bid. Who's bidding? Is it someone in the back?
Yeah, very far in the back.
That's me. Could you come forward where you're this? Oh, okay, I see somebody standing and waving both arms. Are you bidding?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I got 75. Do I get 100? Do I get 100 units for this? Are you bidding? I can't tell. You didn't say anything.
Yes, I want, but I'm not too much for me if I pay the tax.
Look, you didn't bid or not. I just need to know which.
I was bidding before.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
It's not bidding right now.
Okay, so I've got 75 for this adorable book. Does anyone bid 100 monetary units for this adorable book? Which I would want if you want. Do I get? Are you bidding?
Yes, 100.
Okay, I've got 100. Do I get 125 for this adorable book? Any bids for 125 or more? Last chance to bid 125 or more for this adorable book. Last chance. Gone for 100. Uh-oh, he's
He has no mask.
Who is that unmasked man?
Okay, thank you, Richard. If you want to meet with Richard and you are properly masked or outside, please let me know. I can find him for you. He is around. Okay. Now, the next speaker, afterwards we're finally going to have a small break in, is Louis Falcon. He's going to talk to us about GNU Health.
Thank you, Bienne. See you, please.
Oh, it's okay. Unless you want to follow it. I don't have a computer.
Hey, Bienne.